Hello everybody, welcome back to another video with Lim Reviews. Now in today's video, we're going to be doing a very quick comparison between the OPPO A95 that I have here against the Samsung A32 5G. Now you might be wondering why these devices here, because they're actually quite different, but they are actually also very similar in certain ways. Now bear in mind that just RM100 separates both devices right here. We have the A95 that goes for RM1099 for the base spec, and this guy here goes for 1199 again for the same base spec. Alright, so now that we've got the pricing out of the way, let's check out what's really different between both devices here and which one should you get at the end of the day. Now we're going to start off very quickly by going for the design. Now take a look at these devices right here, guys. So first up, I'm going to talk very quickly about the OPPO A95 right here. This device is actually a very much more slimmer and lightweight device. I really like holding this device in hand here, and at the back we have a very fancy looking matte-ish back panel. So again, the good thing about this back panel here is that it doesn't capture any fingerprints whatsoever, and it feels very nice to the touch here. You have this very nice, matte material kind of back panel. Apart from that, it actually looks quite nice here as well. If you just take a look at this, when I just shift it from side to side, you do have a very nice gradient, and this kind of design is very commonly found on most OPPO devices. They're calling it the OPPO Glow kind of design, by the way. So yeah, this is what you get with the OPPO A95. Now very quickly, we're going to take a look at the Samsung A32 5G over here. Now this design is also something that we have seen on a lot of Samsung devices of late. I'm not really sure why Samsung is still keeping this, the spider face kind of look for their camera module. But yeah, I think it's also quite, it looks quite alright. It's not to say the worst design out there. We do get this glossy back panel, which does actually capture a couple of fingerprints. But the thing that I didn't really like about here is actually the thickness and the heft of this device. Now, bear in mind that this is just like, how should I put it, like a mid-range budget kind of device here. But it doesn't feel very nice. The OPPO A95 here definitely feels very much more nicer compared to this guy. And again, like I mentioned, the heft here doesn't make it very nice for one-handed use over long periods of time. So that's just in terms of the design. You guys let me know, would you go with something like the OPPO A95 right here, or would you go for the Samsung A32 5G's design? Alright, now let's move on to the next point and talk a little bit about the displays at the front, because that is actually also very important, since it is going to be the main thing that you'll be staring at when you use your smartphones. So very quickly, we're going to start off with the OPPO A95 first and foremost. Right here, we do have a 6.43-inch 1080p AMOLED display that actually gets very bright. It's got great contrast levels, amazing saturations, and everything that you can expect from an AMOLED panel, especially the one from OPPO. So overall, again, it is slightly more compact here, and again, very good for one-handed use if you like that kind of thing, and it is very, very good for watching movies. Now moving on to the Samsung A32 5G over here. Now this is actually quite a disappointment, and I think this is actually the weakest point of the Samsung A32 5G in today's comparison. So display-wise, we do get a slightly larger 6.5-inch display, but this is only TFT and it is only running at 720p, guys. So very, very much more lower resolution stretched across a slightly wider space. That means that items on the display here is going to look a little bit more pixelated. It's not that sharp, and yeah, it's just not nice to look at images or even watch videos on the Samsung A32 5G over here. So I think that's pretty much what I can sum up. It's just not a great display, and the worst part here is that if you're using a device outdoors most of the time, I found it quite a struggle to actually see the display, especially when I am outdoors. So yeah, again, this is the weakest point of the A32 5G, the display. Now let's move on to the processing power, and this is actually where the Samsung redeems itself slightly. So in terms of power, we do have a Snapdragon 662 for the OPPO A95, and we do have a Dimensity 720 for the Samsung right here. Now bear in mind that in this case, the Samsung actually supports 5G, so that's definitely a plus point in case you're looking for a future-proof phone. Apart from that, it also offers slightly more power compared to the Snapdragon 662 right here. So if you're just playing games or just launching apps on the daily, everything is going to be slightly smoother and slightly faster on the Samsung device right here. But bear in mind again that these devices here are not powerhouses. So if you're going to do heavy gaming, definitely you wouldn't check out these devices here. If you buy these devices, you're definitely going to be looking for a good day-to-day use. And I actually think that just in terms of the processors wise, they're actually quite close to each other just in terms of day-to-day social media kind of use. So that's just something that I should point out. But if we have to give the win, it'll have to go to the Samsung A32 5G for that better processor. Now let's move on to the next point and talk a little bit about the camera. So we have quite a different setup here. We have a triple camera setup on the OPPO A95, and we do have a quad camera setup on the Samsung A32 5G. Now they both have 48 megapixel main sensors, but where the Samsung actually ages out a little bit more here again is in the additional 8 megapixel ultra wide. This actually adds on another level of flexibility when taking your photos. Now just showing you guys photos side by side over here, you can see that both devices takes a very different approach in taking photos. So I noticed that on the OPPO device here, photos taken are more saturated, they tend to pop a little bit more, and they're also a little bit more sharper. However, on the Samsung A32 side, it is a little bit more true to life, colors looks a bit more natural, and if you're going to do some post-editing, you can actually work on the Samsung's images. So again, very different kind of approaches right here. One looks a little bit more saturated and pop, ready to share on your social media, and the other one from the Samsung here looks a little bit more natural. But you guys let me know what you think in terms of the photo comparisons right there. Alright, so we're going to move on to the next point here and talk very quickly about haptics and speakers. Now in terms of haptics, I try to cover it most of the times. Unfortunately, both devices here only have the standard haptics module, so nothing too fancy about that. And in terms of the speakers, both devices also only have a single firing speaker. So again, not too much to talk about that there. Now finally, the last point, let's talk a bit about the batteries in the back, because this is actually something that is very important. Now the fun fact is that both devices do have 5000 mAh batteries, but I must applaud the fact for OPPO here managing to keep it so slim like this and very lightweight with that 5000 mAh battery. Now in terms of the charging speeds, it is actually night and day between both devices right here. The Samsung devices here only supports 15 watt fast charge, whereas the OPPO A95 supports 33 watt fast charge. So it takes slightly more than an hour to charge this guy from 0 to 100%, but for the Samsung itself, it takes almost close to 2 hours, guys, and it's almost taking all day. So very, very slow charging on the Samsung A32 5G. Alright guys, I think I'm almost at the end of today's comparison. Bottom line is, for this quick comparison, I think that if you want to go for something more stylish, more compact, it feels great, looks great, has an awesome display and a good camera, and last but not least, of course, a slightly faster charging speeds, you can actually check out the OPPO A95 right here. And if you do want a more versatility in terms of the camera, you have an additional ultra wide over here, and you have a slightly faster processor, then you can check out the Samsung A32 5G. In my personal opinion, I might actually go with the OPPO A95 over here because I just fancy that slightly slimmer, nicer looking design, and of course, I can't live with a 720p display on the Samsung A32 5G. Alright, before we go, just in case you're wondering, the OPPO A95 will be available here in Malaysia to purchase on the 20th of November. There are a couple of special deals and promotions which you can find out more in the description box below. But one special deal that I should highlight is that if you do buy the OPPO A95, you can just add 1 ringgit to get an EncoBuds wireless earbuds worth RM159. So do check it out, info down below. Also, there will be a roadshow going on at Midvalley again if you're in Malaysia. That's happening on the 20th, where there will be a spin and win competition where you can actually win prizes up to 70,000 ringgit. Alright guys, that's it for today's comparison video. I hope you find this interesting. Definitely, if you want to see more content like this, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And I hope to see all of you guys in the next one. Stay safe, everybody. Bye!